the shadow of the mighty oaks, thousands came to discuss how to rid our country from its shame. They knew the evils of the chains. Thousands of Americans forced to become slaves didn't match with the Constitution, which guaranteed every man would be free. They called themselves Republican in this little town of Jackson, and they knew their fight for this worthy cause would change the nation's fate. They took an oath for unity, and that passion still remains today. Many fights have been won, but many more are still to come. We know it won't be easy to defend this land of the free. The Jackson County Republicans stand together. We are JXN GOP.
Hello, welcome to the debut episode of the Under the Oaks podcast. That's right, debut episode. This is the Under the Oaks podcast, and that intro that you sing there was made several months ago, and we decided to incorporate it into this podcast. This podcast is exclusively Jackson GOP information. The intent, I think, is what we're going to do. We're winging it since it is debut episode, but I think our intent is to monthly, on the last Wednesday of the month, we'll bring you about an hour podcast, bring in different elected officials that represent Jackson County one way or another, and candidates that hopefully will represent Jackson one way or another. We'll do 20 minutes, half hour discussion with whoever that is, and then we'll go into exclusive information so everybody can keep up to date of what is happening in the Jackson GOP now and in the future, as far as we can. I apologize. I do host the Stick to Plan podcast, and normally I have a co-host that I communicate with, so I'm winging it, and it is harder than what you think. Now, our intention is this. Like I said, the last Wednesday of every month, it'll come out sometime later in the day, and I would like to bring in different hosts month after month, so it's not always me. So, for example, in February, it might be our Chief of Staff, Chris Baird. The following month might be Marcy Jankovic, although I have not talked to her about that. But my thought process is going people to host the show, and then we'll bring in different candidates and elected officials as we do that. So today I am the host of the Under the Oaks podcast, Russ Jennings. I am the chairman of the Jackson Republican Party. And our guest today is candidate for State House District 47, Justin Griffis. Hi, Justin. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Russ?
Doing pretty well. Justin, we've interviewed you before on other podcasts. You are welcome to our debut Under the Oaks podcast. You are our first guest.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm the first host. You're the first guest. And you're going to help me through this, so now I have somebody to talk to.
Okay.
Doing this solo thing is difficult. Our producer, Kevin, does it every day on shows that he has. But I think with some practice, we might all get good at it. I have a feeling that I'm going to be stuck being the host quite often.
Might.
Luckily, it's only once a month. Guys, I will tell you, constantly coming up with guests for the other podcast, and then I'm responsible for the guest for our Under the Oak Speaker Series that we do here at the Jackson GOP. Even when they're lined up and you know you could get a guest, but constantly booking guests isn't easy. It's you've really got to be thinking about, especially with the Stick to Plan podcast. It's weekly, so you get done with your stream on Monday afternoon. You need to start looking right now for a guest for the following week, because if I let it go till weekend, it'll end up just being me and Kevin, which Kevin and I don't mind when it's a show with just him and I. I will say this. The Stick to the Plan podcast, since I am the chair of the Jackson GOP, we always included a lot of information about what's happening at the Jackson GOP. It's my nature. It's what I do. I sell the Jackson GOP. But that is a Russ and Kevin show. It wasn't sponsored or connected to the Jackson GOP. And the reason why I say that, we could sometimes bring up issues that don't necessarily represent the whole entire Jackson GOP. I have had candidates for U.S. Senate mad at me. I've had candidates for governor mad at me. We've been asked to take down a stream because of a legal issue that had been going on that we kind of stepped in a pile of poo. This is going to be vanilla. This is what's happening. Hey, we got a great candidate here. We're going to let you talk in a minute. We're going to talk about your campaign, and then I'm going to go into what's happening at the Jackson GOP. So I hope that explains the purpose of this show. If need be, as we go into election season further of 2026, if we got to do this twice a month, then we'll do it twice a month. I do not see us doing it more than twice a month. I can't put it on my plate. Now, that being said, even if I'm successful at getting different hosts every month, it's going to take effort by me to give them the information to talk about. So, like I said, it's what I do, but that's what we're up, and that's why we're here. But Justin, we're going to talk about your campaign, and we have interviewed you before on the Stick to the Plan podcast. You've been at many of the Jackson GOP events. You know what, Kevin? I'm sorry, I'm talking to Kevin like he's here. I got used to Deb Drick's show yesterday. Look forward. Yeah, I can turn and look at. Remember, she'd yell at me. She almost kicked me out of the studio. But you've been to a ton of our events. There's rarely one you miss. I mean, if you're available, you're here at them all, and I appreciate that a lot. So, but I want to talk about your district, okay? And you can expand on it too. You approached the Jackson GOP. Hey, I'm Justin Griffis. I live in Washtenaw County in District 47, and I want to run for this seat. We did a little interview with you, kind of a vetting thing, and we're like, this is our guy. I think this is our guy. In 2022, right? Get my facts straight here, numbers straight. We suffered redistricting, and we had a great candidate from Grass Lake, Tina Benartsky Lynch, and we put as much effort as we possibly can into that race. As we got further into the race, it got more and more exposed that the deficit for a Republican to win that seat was greater than what a lot of organizations wanted to put into that race. Unfortunately, the Jackson GOP was still in trying our best to get her elected. She lost. The current representative, Carrie Reinges, won, Democrat, not only Democrat, but extreme liberal Democrat. And then 24 came around, and we hadn't found a candidate, but one was out there, right? It come to find out, we looked at campaign finance, whoever this person is, she sits on our executive committee. I don't know who it is. I think they raised 100 and spent 100. So I don't even know what kind of candidate that was for that person to even jump in. So we were really pleased when you jumped in, a good, viable candidate. And looking at the numbers, they're not as bad as either they were in 22 or they've gotten better. It is an uphill battle, but it's, a +2 Dem seat or 3. District 46 that Kathy Schmaltz has won twice is a negative Republican. She's won. So those are winnable seats. But where I've noticed our problem when we started introducing you to people throughout Jackson County, specifically people in District 47, and let me explain. District 47 represents, I think it's 5 townships in Washtenaw, and I know there's 5 on the Jackson side, and I can name those Jackson ones. It's all of Summit Township, all of Napoleon Township, all of Columbia Township, all of Norval Township, and half of Grass Lake Township. But when I talk to the people in those districts, Republican voter people, some of them previous members of the GOP or current, they had no idea they were even represented by a Democrat. No idea. And they're like, oh, we just thought Kathy Schmaltz represented us or whatever. They didn't realize in those 5 townships are red townships. Now, I can't speak for the Washtenaw side is great. I can look at the map and say, well, there's a lot of cornfields over there. I think those farmers probably vote Republican. And you and I have talked about it before. It's going to come down like we did in 24, getting the low propensity voters out. Mm-hmm. We got to get those Republicans out to vote, and it's going to be difficult to do without Trump at the top of the ticket. It was hard with Trump on the top of the ticket. Without him there, we got to paint a picture that Trump is at the top of the ticket and get voter turnout. Respond to what I just talked about. What do you know?
Well,
and introduce yourself. Do what you got to do.
Hey, everybody. My name's Justin Griffis. I'm the candidate that's running for the 47th District, Republican candidate, as Russ said. I'm a resident of the village of Dexter in Washtenaw County. Lived there for about 2 years now. The redistricting, I think, was on purpose in order to dilute the Republican vote, to give an extra seat to the Democrats in the House. The part of the district that's in Washtenaw County, I have Ann Arbor proper, Ward 1, Precinct 9, Ward 4, Precinct 31, Ward 5, every precinct except Precinct 48, Ann Arbor Township, parts of Precinct 1, the entire village of Dexter, Freedom Township, Lima Township, Scioto Township, all except Precinct 1, Manchester Township,
brutal,
and Sharon Township. And there's a couple of hurdles that need to be overcome. One is the urban sprawl, I'll call it, from Ann Arbor. So you have these people that vote Democrat that tend to be more affluent, and they want to get out of the city. So they come to the rural areas of Washtenaw County, but they don't leave their politics in Ann Arbor. They bring it with them.
Yeah.
And then that dilutes the Republican vote in these traditional Republican areas. And then the other hurdle, like you said, I don't know if it necessarily is a hurdle. In this district, it may be a detriment to have Trump at the top of the list because maybe that drives up more Democrat voters out.
That side of the district, it might
out of the woodwork to come and vote for the incumbent Kerry Reingans. What I do know is that politics, like much in life, nothing is guaranteed. All I have to do is go out, and do the work, knock on the doors, speak my mind, and if let the cards fall as they may. Either people will agree with the message that I'm sending out there, or they'll agree with my opponent. And just to touch on Kerry Reingans, you mentioned, she's a liberal Democrat. I would say she's a caricature of a liberal Democrat. If in a Republican mind, it's the worst of the worst. This woman, as a state legislator, has voted to give illegal immigrants driver's licenses in the state of Michigan. She has voted to allow men and women's sports at the high school level. She believes that minors can be transitioned from one gender to another.
And she'll help them do it.
She will
help them pave the path.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm running is a little background on myself. I'm a trained lawyer. And when I introduced myself to you and to the Washtenaw County GOP, I said I'm a recovering lawyer right now. I spent 10 years as a in criminal law as a litigator, 9.5 years as a criminal defense attorney in Ohio, as well as the state of Wisconsin. And then when we moved here to Michigan, I switched sides. I had always wanted to be a prosecutor, and in most states, prosecutors have it easy. They have all the state resources, and you tend to get jurors that believe that, hey, this person's charged with the crime, they probably did something. So I thought I would switch sides, make my professional life a little bit easier after 9.5 years trying to fight the good fight. And I learned that it's bizarro land here in Michigan. The criminal justice system is very lenient to an absurd amount. And it took a physical toll on me. I had lost 22 pounds, which, I looked good, but I didn't feel good. So I decided to take a sabbatical and step away from the practice of law. And I was sitting at my house doing some painting, and I happened to get on Twitter or X, however you.
By the way, it's not that you're an artist. You have a new house and you were painting part of the house.
I was painting.
If you're an artist, that's cool though. But
I'm not an artist. I did not get that.
I always get the picture that you're doing the numbers drop paints or something in the house in a room, and but
yeah, I'm no Bob Ross. You can tell it by the haircut too.
Right.
But I was painting some bookshelves that we just had built, and I happened to get on X or Twitter, and I saw the Libs of TikTok page was on my feed, and it's followed by a lot of people that consider themselves Republicans or conservatives. And they had posted a video from Carrie Reingan's Instagram page, where at the time the Trump administration was going to cut funding to the University of Michigan healthcare network if they continued to provide.
And I think he did, right.
I think they did at the time, to provide cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers to minors. And she got on her Instagram page and she looked dead into the camera and said, if you're a minor in the state of Michigan and you want this sort of safe and effective care, and I'm doing the air quotes on purpose, safe and effective care to pump you with cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers, call my office directly and we will get you to a doctor that can give you that safe and effective care. And I thought, number one, what a demon. What kind of person could sit there and be a Pied Piper to the mentally ill, as I would say, people that are suffering from gender dysphoria.
Children.
And then also, how evil do you got to be to circumvent parents and parental rights and tell a minor, call me directly and I will help you. And I
wonder how she would feel if I reached out to her children and said, hey, if you really want to be a Republican, reach out to me.
I don't think she would take that too kindly.
Don't think so either.
No. And but I remember seeing that video, and I remember reading her name, and I thought, how do I know this woman? And then it clicked. When I moved here during election season 2024, after our house finally had been built, I saw that name in the area, and hey, that's my state representative. And I just thought somebody needs to stand up and run against her. And then a couple weeks later, Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and his death was circulating all over the internet. And I happened to that night heard a voice in my head. And as I mentioned here to the Jackson County GOP the other week, it was a lot like that Kevin Costner movie, A Field of Dreams. And I would be playing Kevin Costner, except I don't look nearly as handsome as him. And I kept hearing a voice. Instead of hearing, if you build it, he will come, what I kept hearing was a Bible verse that I actually had to look up the next day. And I was laying in bed, and over I kept hearing, and then I heard the voice of the Lord say, whom shall I send, and who shall go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. And I'm not somebody that went to church a lot. I stepped away from the Catholic Church. Actually, my whole family did after the spotlight controversy in 2001. And, I don't know how I don't even think I knew that Bible verse. So it may have been the Holy Spirit speaking to me, which I do believe it was the Holy Spirit. I looked it up, and it's Isaiah 6:8. And that morning I said, I need to run against Kerry Ryan Gans. We need somebody that's going to speak the truth and, actually operate within objective reality. Because I don't believe that a boy can become a girl and a girl can become a boy, no matter how many cross-sex hormones or drugs you want to pump into them or how many body parts you want to have medically operated on and cut off. You can't change basic biology. You can't change DNA.
It always amazes me how we even got here to even consider that.
Well,
amazing.
Yeah. And if somebody believes that, you shouldn't be anywhere near the state budget and being able to vote on how our hard-earned money and our tax dollars, what we pay into the government, is spent. So I decided to reach out and introduce myself, and now here I am.
That's awesome, and something that, and excuse my ignorance, when you were looking down through your list of what areas the district represents on the Washtenaw side, you listed, I think, 3 precincts in the city of Ann Arbor. Three wards with different precincts in it, which makes it extremely difficult. I thought it was etched out around the city, so that brings up more challenges than what I even knew. And then you mentioned Dexter a lot. Of course, you're from Dexter. And I have family members that live in Dexter. My brother-in-law was born and raised in Dexter. And I've watched it in the 20 years or plus that I've been connected to Dexter. And he can really attest to it, how that community has changed. They left the cities, which I don't blame them, to beautiful areas like Dexter and brought their politics with them. And they wonder how it got ruined where they came from. Mm-hmm. Part of that's because of your politics. And so those are the challenges I see that makes this a difficult district for a Republican to win. All right, some of those areas that you talked about, Dexter, the wards in the city of Ann Arbor, probably a couple of communities right there along the city of Ann Arbor. But I can't get out of my mind, I know the townships on the Jackson side really well, and those are red townships, period. They're red townships. And then some of those rural townships on the Washtenaw side, before you get up near the Ann Arbor area, I think they're probably red townships. So I think that's what makes the numbers a little bit better looking. I don't know where they were coming up with a plus 9 or 10 Dem seat back in 22. When we crunch the numbers now that you've announced, it's not that bad. It's a deficit, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's
only a plus 2. And just a correction, I'm not originally from Dexter. I'm originally from a town called Sidney, Ohio, which is right off of I-75 between Dayton and Lima. And I always say when I'm giving speeches, don't hold that against me that I'm a native Buckeye. I didn't go to the
which makes it tough when you're around the city of Ann Arbor, that whole Wolverine thing going on over there. Don't you know?
I didn't go to Ohio State. I went to the University of Dayton and played college football there for 5 years, and then went to law school at the University of Dayton. I never planned on leaving the Dayton area.
Yeah.
My goal was to be a lawyer, become a judge in my hometown, and then get buried in the local cemetery called Graceland over there. And then I met my wife and chased her across the map and got married.
And you have followed her career, which is a very worthy career to follow. You guys made that decision.
Yes.
I often thought, I don't know, like when I meant to ask you this before, when you move from one state to Michigan, does your qualifications as an attorney follow you, or do you have to pass something here in Michigan to practice law? Or
because I've practiced for so long, basically you just do a background check.
You just show up, put out a shingle, and
Well, you do the background check, and then they happen to grab you by the ankles, turn you upside down, and shake $2,000 out of your
Oh, yeah, a couple grand.
Yeah.
All right, okay, cool. All right.
But yeah,
I've been wondering how that worked. Because,
pay to play.
Yeah, you have been to a couple of locations with your wife's career, and I understand why.
And she works at the University of Michigan, so I do say go blue, and I wear a lot of maize and blue things all the time. So I'm not.
You're converted
it
then.
It doesn't burn my skin or anything like that. And I'm obligated to say go blue. So
You are obligated
Yes,
to do that.
yes.
Yeah, definitely. The Jackson GOP is as excited as we can get to support your run for State House. I'll just talk about it on the show because it bothers me. I brought it up yesterday. I had the privilege to be on the Right Side podcast, the Livingston County official podcast with Deb Drick yesterday, and it's frustrating that we can't get the enthusiasm out of any of the groups so far on the Washtenaw side like you do on the Jackson side. We will get that. Somebody gave me a piece of advice. Myself, Chris Baird lives in the district, Summit Township. I think we can handle the Jackson County side well. We know those townships well. I grew up in one of them in Napoleon Township. But then somebody gave me some advice. Russ, all you need to do is find one key person on the Washtenaw side that knows those red townships well, and then baby steps and grow a group of people there. I do worry about we'll have our hands full helping you on the Jackson side. We need enthusiasm on the Washtenaw side. So if anybody on the Washtenaw side of District 47 wants to help a great candidate and flip this seat, get a hold of me or Justin, and let's get something together. We've got, if we do it now, we have a nick of time. If we go too much longer, we're going to be behind the 8 ball. We're going to assume there isn't a primary opponent. There's still time for somebody to throw their hat in the ring. Doesn't look like it, though, in my opinion.
I would concur with that assessment.
Never say never in politics world. Heck, we just had a candidate just the other day announced for governor.
Yeah.
Another one added on, and then the days prior to that, Chris Long, our grassroots vice chair, threw out a couple names that are officially in on the Republican side. I don't even know the names. Then, what was it, Monday, Perry Johnson announced. Now, Perry is a name that most people in the active Republicans and beyond know Perry. He has run for president. He has run for Michigan. Billionaire. He can throw a lot of money at it. We were all, I don't know why we were shocked. I was surprised but not shocked. Perry's in. And I'm like, not another person. Now, I like the guy. But my point here is someone could jump in on a primary thing. But at least you've been working it for, I don't know, 3-4 months now.
Since about end of September, yeah.
Boy, time flies.
It does.
I remember the phone call. I did. I'm like, hey, guys, I think we got someone here. We're happy, and we're going to do what we can to help you get elected. We talk frequently, and like I said, you come to a lot of events that we have. Speaking of, you will be here Saturday. The Jackson GOP is hosting a citizens-only vote, citizens initiative push. The signatures for this great initiative are due within the next couple of weeks. We did a signing event a couple of weeks ago, and we had the opportunity to do another one. So that's a Saturday, the 31st, 11 to 1. And we've added to this, so there will be a meet and greet opportunity with you and the Republican candidate for District 48, Brian Ignatowski. You'll both be here. And I want to talk a little bit about District 48. So that is redistricting a good portion of Livingston County, part of Washtenaw County, like north of Dexter, the way they got it cut out. But it does, that district does cover one township in Jackson County, and that's Waterloo Township. But it's larger than, hey, 48 covers a county in Jackson County, so we need to also put effort into that campaign. That's true, but it's a bigger picture. Just because your local guy, say they lost, we need to flip seats. We need to grow the seats in the state house. So not only, I hope I'm not spreading ourselves too thin, not only do we want to put effort into your race, but we want to put some effort into Brian's race, because we really do. Brian ran in the last cycle and barely lost. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you look at everything, you're like, oh, we think we can get this guy across the finish line. And the Democrat that represents that district is just as crazy as Kerry.
Yeah, I was telling Brian, I'm like, just the other day, I said, I think they're two peas in a pod.
Very much
cut from
so.
the same cloth, those two.
You exposing Kerry made me start looking at her Facebook page and her social media. Just the other day, something popped up, and she always does this. One, she's big on healthcare for all. Yeah. For Michigan. Healthcare for all, it doesn't matter. Illegals, anybody, everybody. And you all know that some sort of healthcare reform needs to happen. But let's do the President Trump thing. Let's put the money in the hands of the consumer. And we can spend our healthcare dollars where we want, not where the government says we have to go. She's advocating for a Canadian-type healthcare system. Canadians come here for health care. But that's her big push now. But she was out in the cold, all up in arms over, of course, ICE in our communities. And people should be afraid to send their children to school and on and on. And she's almost in tears. Almost in tears over it. And I'm like, we're talking about a person that can't even get the opposition, but without all the emotion. In wherever she gets her information, she's one of those on the left that gets her information, and it doesn't even make sense. They're unhinged.
Well, I think she gets her newspaper. It's like the Looney Tunes Times or something. It's
the Looney Tunes Times.
Yeah.
Maybe our producer can find that on Google.
You know, I know this show's only about an hour. I could go multiple hours about her stances. If you had to boil down this election, what are the differences between myself and the incumbent? Representative Reingans is an individual that would tell you there is no problem that government can't fix.
Yes.
And if the government can't fix it, then more government should do the trick.
Throw more money at it. Throw more government at it. Government never fixes anything.
It does not.
They always make it worse.
And I would tell you where I stand on things is typically government is the problem itself.
It is.
It is an impediment. It gets in the way of the market. It gets in the way of innovation. Typically, government, to me, is never the answer. It is the problem in and of itself. I only believe in necessary services. So like public protection, things along those lines. Like healthcare. Yeah, Obamacare did such a great job. Let's create it at the state level. Right. You can keep your doctor. I'm old enough. I was in law school. I remember when that was going through. And, you know, Obama said, you can keep your doctor and your premiums won't go up. Well, what happened?
Premiums sure went up.
Premiums sure went up, and people lost their doctors.
Yeah. I've got a good example. I was seeing a specialist through Henry Ford Health System, and I have medical coverage through my wife's employer, good medical coverage, and I needed a specialist, an orthopedic surgeon. He was wonderful. Henry Ford Health isn't always known for being wonderful. This guy was wonderful. And I needed to make a follow-up appointment, and they're like, Dr. Moore is no longer with us. Where'd Dr. Moore go, right? Oh, he started his own practice in Chelsea. Okay. Well, I got So I go to the new doctor, and she's pretty good. And I got asking. I couldn't. I says, "What's the reason Dr. Moore leave?" I knew there was a reason. Like I wanted to get to it. Usually those people don't say it. He goes, "Nah, he'd had his private practice. He took the job with Henry Ford. They paid him well, but like many of them, they don't like you're under the rules of Henry Ford, plain and simple." And him and another doctor were like, we're tired of this. We don't even care if the money's well. We want to be independent, and they started their own practice. So that was a few years ago. But I just read the other day where Dr. Moore is back with Henry Ford through the Chelsea branch. So I think they waved more money around. You don't have to worry about billing. You don't have to worry about anything. You show up at 8, you leave at 6, and you get a paycheck, the grind of running a business, a practice. But it flushes out the good ones, and then the good ones end up working for a healthcare system, and they can't be the doctors they want to be.
Yeah, and then that also ties into the immigration issue that you touched on with ICE. I come from a legal background, and I can tell you what's happening right now in this country is because of a failure of leadership at the local and state level. As a criminal defense attorney, I represented people that were here illegally, and an ICE detainer would be placed on them if they were placed into state custody. And if that state worked with the federal government, they would notify ICE. ICE would then come and take them, and they would be deported. And there's this whole issue with these paid protesters and these people that are ignorant or looking to virtue signal, where they go up to ICE and DHS agents and Border Patrol agents, and they say, "Where's the warrant? Where's the warrant?" They are not just snatching people up off the street.
No.
They are taking into custody people that have gone through the immigration courts, and those judges at the immigration court have issued a court order of deportation. It is a court order is stronger than a warrant. So it's all wordplay by the left, and because people don't know the law, they're kept ignorant as to how our systems actually work. And you hear them scream, "Due process, due process."
Right.
Due process means that you're given the process that's due to you in whatever judicial system you're in. So there's a different due process in civil law. There's a different due process for criminal law. There's a different due process for immigration proceedings. And these individuals were given due process in the immigration courts, and they are facing orders of deportation. So their case has been adjudicated. It's over. It's done. And the reason why Minnesota right now looks like an urban war zone is because you have Mayor Fry, for the mayor of Minneapolis, that says, "I'm not going to assist with federal law enforcement." You have Tim Walz, the governor up there, who should be just taken out of office. He's an absolute disgrace. He also says the same thing. We're not going to assist federal government. We're not going to have these people placed over into the federal custody. We're going to ignore these ICE detainers. Well, what happens? Then you have pure chaos like it is, where these agents now have to go out in the streets and go and actually find these people at their last listed address from public records. And those public records usually come from a criminal database, because these people have come into our country. That, number one, that's a crime. You come into the country illegally. And then number two, they committed a crime while they're here and had some type of criminal adjudication against them, and they're in our criminal system. That's how they're finding these people. But it's because of the failure from the local and state officials is why things look the way they do. And then you have those two knuckleheads, to use a phrase from Tim Walz, fanning the flames of what I would call chaos, insurrection, and potentially civil war, the way that they talk about it. And then
borderline
and then it just spreads on social media. And because people don't know what's going on or how law enforcement actually works, it looks bad from an optics standpoint for President Trump and the right.
And they're playing it.
We need leadership in this state as well that will assist the federal government. Because I got news for you. There's something called the Supremacy Clause in the Constitution. We agreed as a union of states that the federal government is over all states. So even though you may not agree as a state, you still have to, the federal government's over your state government anyway. The federal law is the supreme law of the land. We need our own leaders here in this state that are willing to help assist the federal agents that potentially could be here. But what's really cool and I guess in vogue right now is the stand up and virtue signal and be for these illegal immigrants that are in our country. And I think that tells you a lot about the character of the candidate, somebody like Carrie Ryan-Gans that's going to sit there and cry alligator tears for these illegal immigrants that should be deported, don't belong here in the first place. But what about the people that have been victims of crimes perpetrated by these illegal immigrants? You don't ever hear the left mention those names, like Lake and Riley.
Right.
You don't hear them mention those names.
By the way, she was
that.
an ICU nurse too.
Yeah, I mean, she was just going out for a jog.
By the way, I didn't find exactly what it is, but I think I found the Looney Tunes Times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I believe it's called MS Now instead of MSNBC.
Something that you just said that I want to talk about. It's wild to me. So President Trump speaks to walls, and this has been the issue. Turn over all your illegal immigrants to federal that you have in your jails and prisons to federal law enforcement. And my first thought is, what state or what county wouldn't gladly get rid of people that clogging up their jails and prison so they don't have to feed them anymore? You have them locked up apparently on other criminal charges, but they're going to put resistance up to that. That would clear up a lot of mess right then and there. Okay, yeah. And that would be easy to do. And it leads into here in Jackson County. Our sheriff was the first sheriffs in the county that says, I'm going to participate in this 287B or C ICE detainer thing. So if we pick up a person on the streets that's already committed a local crime and we bring them down to the jail, and when they run the lien, it comes back, there's an ICE detainer, our jail will hold them for 48 hours to see if the federal agents will come and pick them up. I'm thinking to myself, I thought all cops did that anyways. What the hell you mean? And so this has been on for 6 months. There was pushback amongst the left at our county commission meeting 6 months ago, at all yelling and crying at the county commissioners who have nothing to do. They have no authority over the sheriff. None. They control the sheriff's budget, but our budget's so thin anyhow, there's nothing to take from him. So he went through it that day, and then hours after the lady got shot after trying to run over the ICE agent,
Renee
Good, the Jackson Democrats start circulating a flyer, pack the next county commission meeting to oppose the ICE detainer holds because we're mad at the sheriff. And so we started trying to pack the room on our side the best. The place was packed. It was crazy. Unhinged people, totally making no sense. None. There was a couple of them that might have presented something that you might be able to argue with. The rest were just unhinged, afraid to send our kids to school, afraid to let our brown kids go out and play on the sidewalk. Just the most ridiculous thing. But when I'm looking at it, why are you here? You're here to create discontent because these county commissioners have no authority over the sheriff. Why are you here disrupting a meeting, talking? There's 9 county commissioners, 7 of them are Republican. Even if they could do something, they're not going to. All right? But everybody in the room thinks that the county commissioners have authority over the sheriff. It's the littlest things. They have no idea how it works.
Well, and that goes to a broader point. You know, I don't think they teach government in school anymore. And how do you keep a population under control? Well, you keep them ignorant. If you keep them ignorant, they're much more easier to manipulate and easier to control. Yeah, because they do a Google search and it's incorrect. You know, with Renee Good, here's a news flash: a vehicle can be used as a weapon.
Yes, it can.
And I think that was a good kill.
Even amongst citizens.
And you don't, law enforcement officers don't have to wait to get run over in order to use deadly force. If they have a reasonable belief that their life is in danger, which if somebody's going to run you over with a car, then they are justified in firing their firearm. And, I don't even know why that's up for debate. But, you said the Democrats in this county use that as an opportunity. Yeah, that's their motto. Never let a good, a tragedy go to waste to earn political brownies. And you would think that they would look at that woman as a human, but they just look at her as an opportunity to, raise their own profile. Law enforcement doesn't have the discretion to subjectively enforce the law. Why would you have what good are laws if we just subjectively
pick and choose?
The law's the law, plain and simple. A lot of lawyers will tell you the law's gray, but it's pretty black and white.
And our sheriff's a smart guy. He's also an attorney, and he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's been in law enforcement 30 years. After a retirement from one law enforcement agency, he went to law school. He probably can explain it the same way you just explained it. But it's amazing. Yes, I was there to support our sheriff, but there was an agenda item that I was really interested in hearing on, and it's taking some grant money and putting in a what do you call it? Farmer's market. Yep. Well, 3 hours of public comment of unhinged things that have nothing to do with the agenda. If you were really there for an agenda item, you had to wait through all that mess to even get to the agenda items. I know of a person that was there solely to see if he was going to be appointed to the Region 2 Planning Commission that had to sit through all that even to get to the agenda. So it disrupted all kinds of things. I left early. I said,
I don't blame you.
I can't take it. I can watch this drama on YouTube. I can't take it.
I don't blame you, because there's that old saying from Mark Twain, don't ever debate a crazy person, because they'll drag you down to their level and then win by experience. You can't debate these people. They don't operate in objective reality.
No.
They're off in their own world. And
you can't change somebody that's thinking delulu.
And as a lawyer, I'm trained to make a conclusion based on reason and facts. A lot of these people, they don't have any reason. That's the funny thing about common sense, too. It's not that common. It's kind of an oxymoronic term.
Kevin, put the timer up. We're going to try to keep this an hour show. Justin, you're going to sit here with me for 15 minutes. We can still be in a conversation with the items I got to say. But how to get a hold of you, where you're going to be, any final last words, anything you want?
Well, I'm going to be filing next week. We're going to get the ball running, get a web page set up, start taking in those donations.
By the way, you got a donation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I heard you got some money for me.
We'll figure it out for you.
I'm going to get the ball running. We're going to, hit this as hard as we can. Here's the thing about me, just to kind of give one more sales pitch. I'm a straight shooter. That's how I treated all of my clients when I was a criminal defense attorney. That's how I live my life. I am a person that I consider myself to be a person of integrity, character, and honesty. I'm not afraid to say things that people may not want to hear. That's the thing about the truth sometimes. Sometimes it hurts. But I'm going to tell people what they have to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear. And people can disagree with it if they want. I consider myself a leader, and I think that's what leaders are good at, is, you don't worry about what people think about you. You lead, you trailblaze.
They'll find out in the long haul.
Yeah. And you're gonna ruffle some feathers and tick people off. But that's the difference between followers and leaders. Leaders put their head down, continue on the path no matter what comes their way. Followers will follow after there's really no repercussions there.
Or pick up the pieces.
Or, there's no cost to what you're doing. I know this, as you mentioned, it's a DIM +2 district. Nothing in life worth doing is ever easy. So I'm going to give people an option. I'm going to, speak the truth. I'm going to tell it like it is. And, either people can vote for me or vote against me, but either way, I'm going to stay true to who I am and give people an option.
Something refreshing to me that you told me a couple weeks ago, and it was refreshing to hear. When you and I first met each other, we talked about the district. We talked about better run maybe as more of a moderate or whatever, and we were both in agreement on that. But you told me the other day, nope, you decided you were gonna run as the honest campaign. You think that your thought process is what people want to hear. And I got thinking about that might be what they're ready to hear. They wanted to hear what Trump had to say because of his honesty. So I think your approach to that, I say, just be Justin. Your integrity, everything you have, throw it out on the table. This is your option. Why are you going to fake being a super moderate?
Yeah, and I think people can see when you're being disingenuous. And I think there's a lot of politicians anymore, the veneer's gone. Like in 2016, I liked Ted Cruz. Now you couldn't pay me to vote for the guy in anything.
Right.
And Trump had a lot to do with that. But I think people my age.
But then there's Marco. You're like, man, Marco's killing it. I wasn't even considering him back then.
Yeah, he does some good things. But I think, people that are 40 or younger. Yeah. I'm in that age range. I'm 37. I think we're tired of the typical politician that speaks out of both sides of their mouth, that speaks in these very broad terms but doesn't give you a direct answer. And I'm not that type of person. I have thick skin. I'm overweight, so that comes with the territory. But I'm also somebody that, as a litigator, I ask direct questions. I expect direct answers of people, and that's the same standard I hold to myself. You ask me a question, I'll give you a direct answer. So that's where I'm going to be different. But as far as where I'm going to be at, I'll be here at the Jackson County GOP headquarters this weekend from
Saturday.
11 to 1 for the meet and greet. And then, we'll get some things on the calendar here. And as you mentioned, I'm kind of like State Farm. Whenever you give me a call, I'm there. So
February is our Under the Oak Speaker Series with James Dixon. But you usually come to those events to introduce yourself to people that haven't met you yet.
Right.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. Kevin's got it brought up. They'll segue me right into that. I will say that our executive committee has approved to set some money aside to launch a launch party and fundraiser for you. You and I decided that we would do that on the Jackson County side. Hopefully we can launch one then on the Washtenaw County side. My knowledge of politics tells me we should do one in the center. But I'm like, no. If we got to do two, we'll do two. We'll do the Jackson side. You were all about that. Mm-hmm. So, we haven't talked further about that. Get your filing under your belt. I see a couple of others are announcing those for April. Maybe that's the good time. So for the Jackson County viewers in the district, we'll pick out a date. We'll do it in the district. Brooklyn, somewhere Columbia Township, maybe over to Summit. I'm feeling more Columbia because it's kind of the center of those townships. And we'll do a launch party and fundraiser for you, so stay tuned for that. As soon as we figure that out, I'll announce it here and announce it everywhere I can.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Kevin.
We're going to just hold tight, and I'll run through these. This is the reason why we're here, for everybody to stay updated of what's going on at the Jackson GOP. The best way to do that, anytime, 24 hours, 7 days a week, is JXNGOP.org. I cannot say it enough. It is a website that's easy to use, updated frequently. Chris Baird, our chief of staff, we might have an event, he'll have it down the next day. You go to websites and old news is on there. You don't see much of that on here. Everything you need to know is at jxngop.org. From membership opportunities, events that are coming up, open seats that might be coming up in 26. And I'll kind of lead right into that. But I can't preach it enough, JXNGOP.org. I don't like it when someone says, I had no idea. I don't know, once a month, jump on to JXNGOP.org. It's all right there. Saturday, citizens only vote signing event. It might be the last one, guys. I really think it is. They want to turn them into the people to get this on the ballot. So Saturday, 31st, 11 to 1, right here at the Jackson GOP headquarters, downtown Jackson, 3rd floor of the Commonwealth Center. And you can find our address at jxngop.org. And that event, which our producer Kevin has up. And with that, we're going to give tours of the Jackson GOP headquarters. It's a fantastic headquarters, 10,000 square feet. You will be impressed, along with a meet and greet of Justin Griffis and Brian Ignatowski, both running for State House. So that's Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, 11 to 1. Speaking of Saturday, we have Jackson GOP has a 300 Club. If you want information on the 300 Club, you go to jxngop.org. It'll tell you how to become a member of the 300 Club. There's 4 options that you can choose from for membership that all include you in the 300 Club. In the 300 Club and any of those membership options give you different discounted rates for events that we have. We fundraise, have some sort of event every month at the Jackson GOP. We don't go see, every month we have an event, and it's all found at jxngop.org. But the 300 Club meets the last Saturday of the month at 9 a.m. at Steve's Ranch in Jackson for breakfast. And yes, it's for the 300 Club members, but we never tell non-members they can't join us. And maybe it'll lead into membership. So that's this Saturday. So that's 9 o'clock to 11, and all of us are going to run over here for the signing event at the Jackson GOP. And I might as well just keep right on Saturday. So many of you know I am the co-host with Kevin of the Stick to the Plan podcast. We have a special stream Saturday at 1 o'clock. It'll be live with Michigan GOP Grassroots Vice Chair Chris Long. We will do that live at 1 o'clock. And we won't do a live Stick to the Plan podcast Monday at 2 like normal, but we'll make sure that it's reposted, re-uploaded to all of our platforms Monday at 2. We did that to accommodate Chris. He works for a living and can't make it on Monday. So Saturday at 1, special Stick to the Plan podcast stream with Chris Long, Grassroots Vice Chair of Michigan GOP. On jxngop.org, we have a really cool section. And Kevin, I don't know if you can find it because we've never profiled it, but it talks about the elected positions in Jackson County. So it's probably up a little bit. And you can go to that link, and it will show you what seats are open in 2026. And the ones that stick out to me, if you go to the school board positions one, Kevin, every school district in Jackson County, public school district, has one, two, or three seats that are available for you to run in 2026. In school boards, they alternate how they elect their board. They're not all elected at one time. So whatever school district you live in, if you've ever thought about running for one of those positions and you have no idea where to start, but you just want to be involved, you want to be part of the change of our school boards, get a hold of the Jackson GOP. We will help you every step of the way. We need to get conservatives on throughout all these school board positions. Some of the districts aren't doing too bad, but most of them need help. Good news on the school board front, Jackson Public Schools just had a re-election of their board, executive board, and our very own Marilyn Acton has been elected as the school board school board president, which is unheard of at that school board for a conservative. Be that she is a fantastic person, she'll do a great job. But I think there's 3 positions open in Jackson Public Schools in 2026. But get a hold of us. We will show you how to fill out the paperwork to file, get on the ballot, and we will help you get elected. Just go to jxngop.org. There's a phone number. Give a call. We'll get you going. March, we'll have a chili cook-off. The events committee hasn't pegged down a date or a lot of details yet, but what the talk is we'll have the elected officials within the county, whether it's township, village, county commission, state house, cook the chili, cook their own chili, and have people come in and vote for their best chili for a chili cook-off right here at the Jackson GOP headquarters. That sounds super fun. Americans for Prosperity has also offered to help cover cost if there's any. So we might be able to do this for free or very, very cheap. So we're looking forward to that. We'll get probably Kathy Schmaltz, myself, maybe our prosecutor, our county clerk, a couple of commissioners, some township people, maybe the sheriff, man. Let's get the sheriff up here, cook some chili, and then we'll eat chili and have a good time. More details to come on that. Pay attention to jxngop.org. I can't say that enough for details on the chili cook-off. March is a great time for a chili cook-off, too. I really think it is. And then, county convention for precinct delegates. County convention is February 26th at 7 o'clock at the Jackson GOP headquarters. That's where we'll be selecting delegates to go to the state convention, which is on March 28th in Novi. At that state convention, we will be voting for candidates for Attorney General, Secretary of State, Supreme Court. By the way, Justin, do you know we don't have, we're missing Supreme Court justice candidates?
I did not know that.
You might want to pull the jump tracks. Get you on the Supreme Court, buddy.
Yeah, there's a complete lack of Republicans on there. I know that.
Okay, but anyways,
there's only one Republican.
Supreme Court will choose the candidates to run in the general for that. University of Michigan Board of Regents, which we all met Lena Epstein at the event. She got them fired up. And then also MSU Board, there's a candidate that we elect all those people March 28th in Novi to let the precinct delegates know the Michigan GOP is broke and they are charging delegates and guests $50 to attend. So I just want you to know that, whether you like it or not. I don't make those rules. It's $50 to attend the state conventions. Sometimes they're free. Sometimes they have to charge. Michigan GOP has no money. So, and renting convention halls is quite expensive. So $50. You don't have to pay $50 to go to the county convention. You just show up. But if you end up going to the state, it'll be $50. So I want to give you a heads up on that. I think that's all my announcement. Kevin, thank you for producing this new idea for us.
You're very welcome.
If anybody wants to host this show, please don't make me do every one of them. We'll probably have Chris Baird do February. That's an easy pick. But then after that, we would like a different host every month, and then we'll help, or you can suggest your own guest. We'll have a different guest, but we'll get the guests lined up. But we want different hosts. That sounds super fun to me. And plus, I don't want to do it every month. If need be, I will, or me and Chris. But I'd like to see someone different every month, and this will be the last Wednesday of every month. Thank you for tuning in. Under the Oaks podcast, the Jackson GOP, birthplace of the Republican Party, official podcast. jxngop.org for everything you need to know. I'm out of here, guys. Thank you.
We are